There's this quiet fear that I think a lot of us carry around.
Yeah.
It's not something we, bring up over dinner.
No.
It feels too vulnerable for that. And you're definitely not posting about it on LinkedIn.
Oh, absolutely not. But it's there.
Yeah.
The research we're looking at today says it follows you everywhere. Boardroom, bedroom, everywhere.
It's pervasive.
It is. It's that sinking sensation that you're late, that you're behind somehow.
Yeah.
And you look around and it feels like everyone else is just, I don't know, zooming ahead on this perfect straight line to happiness.
It's like looking at your watch and realizing the alarm didn't go off, except the watch is your whole life and the alarm was supposed to go off like 5 years ago.
That is a terrifyingly accurate way to put it.
You just think, wait, wasn't I supposed to have the house or the spouse or the millions by now?
Exactly. And what's so fascinating and honestly a little tragic is that this feeling is so often just completely disconnected from your actual reality.
Right.
I mean, you could be doing great by any objective standard, paying your bills, you have good friends, but that voice in your head is just screaming, run faster, you're missing the boat.
And that is exactly what we are digging into today. We are doing a deep dive into this really powerful piece of writing called The Unseen Grace of Your Own Pace. And I want to be clear to you, listening right off the bat, this isn't just a rah-rah, you're doing great, just manifest it kind of thing.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have brought it to the table if it was fluff.
It's actually a really systematic breakdown of why we feel this way. It gets into the psychology of comparison, the fallacy of linear time, and it makes this really bold claim.
Which is?
That being behind might actually be a feature of your development, not a bug.
And I think this is just such a necessary investigation.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a world that is obsessed with linear productivity.
Uh-huh.
Do X by age 20, Y by age 30, have your 401k maxed out by 35.
The checklist.
It's a checklist. And this text argues that we have to deconstruct that invisible pressure before it, literally crushes us.
I have to admit, when I first read the source material, I felt this huge wave of relief.
Mm-hmm.
Because I fall into this trap all the time. I'm that person scrolling my phone at 11 p.m., which I know I shouldn't be doing.
We all do it.
Looking at someone's promotion or their perfect vacation in Bali, and boom, suddenly my whole week feels like a waste. It's the scrolling trap.
You are definitely not alone there. And that's actually where the source starts. With the anatomy of this feeling, it says the trigger is explicitly the habit of comparison.
Right.
But it goes deeper than just saying social media is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that.
You get it. We know it's curated,
Sure.
rationally, we know. But the text says it starts so innocently. You're just killing time, checking your feed, and then you see them.
The milestone.
Promotions, marriages, big achievements, those 30 under 30 lists.
Those lists.
They're all stacked up so neatly in these digital timelines. And here's where the source makes a crucial distinction, almost like a data analysis point. It says you are comparing your messy, unfinished reality against someone else's highlight reel.
Exactly.
I want to pause on that because it feels like such a cliche, right? Don't compare your insides to their outsides.
Yeah.
But the source frames it almost mathematically, like a data error.
It is a statistical error. Think about it. You have 100% access to your own data.
Okay.
The doubts you have at 3 a.m., the laundry piling up, the failed projects, the rejections.
All of it.
But for that person on Instagram, you have maybe 1% of their data.
Mhm.
And it's the top 1%.
So we're essentially trying to solve an equation where our side has all the complex negative variables, and their side only has positive integers. Of course, we lose every time.
And that calculation always creates a deficit. That deficit is what the text calls private panic. I found that imagery so striking. Smiling in public while panicking in private.
Oh, that hit me hard. It's that specific feeling, at a family gathering when you're trying to avoid questions about the future.
Mm-hmm.
And Linda asks, so when are you getting that promotion? Or when are you settling down? And your stomach just drops.
Because you assume the premise of her question is correct. You assume there is a schedule, and because you're not on it, something must be fundamentally broken in you.
But this is where the article really kicks in. This is the so what. It asks this very provocative question. Who actually wrote these timelines?
Right. Who decided 22 is for graduating, 30 is for marriage, and 65 is for retiring? Who made that up?
It feels like we're following a script written for, factory workers during the Industrial Revolution, but we're trying to apply it to our modern, creative, kind of chaotic lives.
That's a great way to put it. They're invisible pressures. It's like we're all running a race, but nobody fired a starting pistol, and nobody actually knows where the finish line is. We're just running because everyone else is.
And we're out of breath. Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I can hear the type A personalities in the audience screaming.
Go for it.
Isn't urgency good? If I don't feel behind one, I just sit on the couch eating chips. Doesn't the pressure make us perform?
That is the common counter-argument. I need the fear to motivate me. But the source argues that life doesn't actually reward urgency in the way we think it does. We act like getting there first is the win. But the text says, and this is a quote, "Rushing breaks more than it builds."
Rushing breaks more than it builds. That's a strong statement. What exactly is breaking?
Well, think about structural integrity. If you're building a house, you pour the foundation. The concrete needs time to cure. It's a chemical process.
Right.
If you say, I'm in a hurry, I need the housewarming party now, and you build the frame on wet concrete, well, the whole structure is compromised.
So you might get the house up faster. It looks like a house.
But it'll crack the first time the wind blows. The source calls this a hollow victory. You build a life that looks right on paper, it ticks all the boxes.
But it feels wrong.
Yeah.
It's unstable.
Yeah.
I think we've all seen people like that. Or maybe we've been those people. You get the job title you thought you needed, or you rush into a relationship because your friends are getting married, but you're just silently exhausted.
Yeah.
Trapped.
Exactly. Trapped in choices you made too quickly because you were afraid of being late. And that exhaustion is dangerous because when we realize we're unhappy in that hollow victory, what's our reaction?
To double down.
It's not to slow down, it's to double down.
Oh, totally. We shame ourselves. We try to whip ourselves into working harder. Why aren't you happy? Why aren't you further ahead? Work harder. It's like having a little drill sergeant in your brain.
It's the inefficient fuel of self-criticism. And the source is very, very clear on this. You cannot motivate yourself into sustainable progress through shame.
Why not, though? It feels powerful. I mean, shame has definitely gotten me to the gym a few times.
For short bursts, sure.
Yeah,
It's like running from a bear. It's adrenaline. But for long-term growth, no. Biologically, shame puts your body in a state of threat. It shuts down the creative, problem-solving parts of your brain.
So growth can't happen.
It literally cannot happen in an environment of constant self-attack.
So if you're beating yourself up for being behind, you're actually making it harder to catch up.
Precisely. You're putting the parking brake on and slamming the gas pedal at the same time. You're just burning out the engine.
Okay, so if we take the parking brake off, if we stop beating ourselves up, how do we reframe the timing? Because I can't just tell my landlord, I'm paying you in self-acceptance this month. You still have to get things done.
True. The text isn't arguing for laziness. It's arguing for a totally different understanding of how growth happens.
Yeah.
And it uses this beautiful metaphor of seasons and roots. This is probably my favorite part of the deep dive.
It really shifts the visual, doesn't it? Because we usually see success as a graph line, just going up and to the right, a straight line.
Linearity. But nature, which, by the way, we are a part of, doesn't work like that. The source points out that society is obsessed with the harvest.
The visible result.
The fruit, the flower, the thing you can see, that's what gets likes on Instagram. That's what goes on the resume.
But you can't have a harvest 365 days a year.
Exactly. You need the season of roots.
Which is the boring part, let's be honest. It's the preparation, the waiting, the healing. It's the stuff nobody posts online because it looks like nothing is happening.
It looks like you're dormant. It looks like failure. But biologically, that is the most active time for the plant. It's building the network that will support everything else later. The text is clear. Without that unseen season where the roots grow deep, nothing strong survives.
It reminds me of that story about the Chinese bamboo tree. Have you heard that one?
Remind me.
The story goes, you water this bamboo seed for 5 years. 5 years. And you see absolutely nothing break the ground.
Nothing.
But you have to keep watering it. Then, in the 5th year, it grows 90 feet in 6 weeks.
Yes. That is the perfect example.
Yeah.
Now, if you looked at that tree in year 4, you'd say, this tree is a failure. It's broken. It's behind.
Right.
But it wasn't dead. It was building the root system to support that massive growth. If it had shot up in year 1 without those roots, it would toppled over in a light breeze.
So when we feel behind, or when we feel like we're just treading water, we might actually be in a REIT season.
You're building capacity.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting for me. The source suggests that delays aren't just annoying. They might actually be protection.
This was the biggest aha moment for me. Delays as protection. Because I usually see a delay as a denial, like the universe is saying no or I'm not good enough.
But what if the universe is saying not yet because it would crush you?
Yeah.
The idea is that maybe you didn't get what you wanted when you wanted it because you just weren't ready to handle it yet.
That is such a comforting thought. Like maybe that job rejection saved me from a role I would have completely drowned in because I didn't have the skills yet.
Or maybe that relationship ending prevented you from becoming someone you would have eventually hated being.
It prevents you from becoming someone you'd outgrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It reframes the no or the wait, not as a failure, but as this necessary pause to strengthen your foundation. The source calls out the myth of on time. There is no universal clock. Some people bloom early, the child prodigies, the 20-year-old CEOs. Some bloom late. Some bloom multiple times.
Some bloom multiple times. I love that. It takes the pressure off having to be just one thing forever.
Yes.
You can be a sunflower in your 20s and an oak tree in your 50s.
And neither is late. They're just different species of success. I mean, Vera Wang didn't get into fashion until she was 40. Julia Child didn't learn to cook until she was nearly 40. If they'd measured themselves by some 30 under 30 metric, they would have quit before they even started.
Okay, but let's look at what's actually happening during those delays. Because the fear is that if I'm not achieving, I'm stagnating.
Right.
Just sitting on the couch.
No, and this is crucial. The text shifts the focus from external validation to internal construction. While you feel like you're losing the race because you don't have the trophy, you're actually building resilience, perspective, and self-awareness.
But here comes the skeptic in me again. Those things don't pass the resume test. You can't put develop deep self-awareness during a period of professional stagnation on your LinkedIn profile.
You could, but it might look weird.
It'd look a little weird.
It might, sure. But the source argues those qualities shape everything you touch. They are the difference between someone who is successful for a moment and then burns out, and someone who is successful for a lifetime.
So it's the difference between the flash in the pan and the slow burn.
The source also makes a great point about depth. It says that people who question their pace, people like you who are worried about this, they often care deeply. The very fact that you're worried about your purpose means you're looking for meaning, not just milestones.
And meaning takes time to figure out. You can't microwave meaning.
You cannot microwave meaning. That is the trade-off. If you want a life that just looks successful, you can probably rush that. You can fake it, get into debt for the car, take the job you hate for the title. But if you want a life that feels right, that requires courage, it requires the courage to go slow when everyone else is sprinting.
So practically speaking, what does that turning point look like? How do we switch from this panic mode, this I'm late, to something more sustainable?
The source describes a shift from rushing to choosing. When you're rushing, you're just reacting. You're making decisions based on panic. I need a job. Any job, I'll take this one.
I need a date. Anyone will do.
Right. When you slow down, your decisions start to come from a place of clarity.
And paradoxically, when you move from clarity, progress often accelerates naturally. It's that old Navy SEAL saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Precisely. If you aren't spending all your time fixing mistakes you made in a hurry, you actually get to the destination quicker. And it boils down to consistency. What actually moves you forward isn't the pressure or the panic, it's the small steps taken honestly day after day.
Even when no one is watching. That is the hard part. We are so conditioned to perform for an audience now.
But the source says you're allowed to take time. You're allowed to change your mind, to restart, to rebuild.
Because life isn't a race.
It's a relationship with yourself. And you have to live with yourself a lot longer than you have to live with the opinions of strangers on the internet.
I want to talk about the future self idea the source brings up near the end, because this really helps solidify why we should trust the process. It's a bit of a mind bender.
Yes, this is a great visualization exercise. The text asks you to picture a future version of yourself, say 10 years from now, looking back at this exact moment, the moment where you feel lost or behind or like a total failure.
And usually I would imagine future me looking back and just shaking their head like, oh, why did it take you so long? Why were you so messy?
But the source suggests the opposite. The future, you won't look back with embarrassment. They will look back with gratitude.
Gratitude, really, for this mess.
Yes, because you didn't quit. Because you kept going through that root phase even when it was dark and you couldn't see anything. Because you took the time to build the foundation properly so that they, the future you, could live in the house.
Wow. That gives me chills. It totally recontextualizes the struggle. It's not I'm failing, it's I'm becoming.
That is the core truth of this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
You are not broken. You are never behind. You are just taking the long way to something real. And something real is worth the wait.
So for everyone listening who feels that clock ticking a little too loudly today, maybe just take a breath. The source is clear. Your timing isn't wrong. It's just yours.
And if we zoom out for a second, think about how much energy we all waste trying to synchronize our lives with everybody else's. It's like trying to synchronize a forest. It's impossible, and it's unnatural.
Yeah.
If you reclaim that energy, all the energy you spend worrying about being behind, just imagine what you could build with it.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap up here, but I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. Inspired by that idea of life being a relationship.
If you truly accepted that life isn't a race to be won, if you just stopped treating your life like a sprint against strangers, how would you treat the person in the mirror differently today?
Would you be kinder? Would you be more patient? I think the answer to that might just change everything. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.